Hello, welcome back to All Books UG, this channel that we're dedicated to reviewing books authored by Ugandans or those that talk about Uganda. So today I'm going to review this very interesting book, The Soul of Uganda Through Music by Michiel Von Oosterhout. But before I get into it, let me just also let you know that Michael also authored this book, The Seed of Katwe. It's a book that looks at the history of Katwe, the current and predictable future. Then there's also this, a documentary, Bwana Jogo, The Ballad of Jesse Gita, that is on a similar theme to this book. So this book is a 2021 publication. It's about 500 pages in all, and it's a history book. That's how I would categorize it, but not your usual history book. So to understand, to review this book and talk about it briefly, I'm going to use 5 different themes. I'm going to talk about the political aspects in the book, the economic, the social, the morals, and the music. Now, let's start with the music. So, Michael tells what he calls the alternative history of Uganda. Having realized that Ugandans don't write as much as people in the other parts of the world, I think this was wise and unique of him that he decided to look at the music lyrics. So he looked at the music lyrics, 200 in all, to tell the history of Uganda from the period of 1962 to 1979. Now, this book is a book about music. Anyone that is interested in music will like this book. He looks at so many aspects of music. What kind of songs were being sung in that period? What was the role of women? Were women singing? How come we don't hear about so many women in the past that sang? Were they there? Were they not there? He talks about all that. Then he also brings in the aspect of association. That has always been a key idea for Ugandan musicians. They've always wanted to unite, yet they seem not to unite at any one point. So he mentions that prominently in the book. He talks about the fight, the struggles to have associations, and the conflicts between different associations formed. Then he talks about the jukeboxes that were across the country. Those days, people mainly listened to their music through jukeboxes. You go to a club, you insert in a coin, and listen to the music. So he talks about all that in the book. Now, he looks mainly at music. This now is where he relates it to history. He looks mainly at music that is political, social, and economic. So at any one point in time, the lyrics that he looks at talk to what is happening in society. And I find that very brilliant of him. Now, having talked about the music aspect of it, let's turn to the politics. So we know that in today's Uganda, over the last few years, music has really taken a center stage in the politics. We know that one of our main opposition leaders or political leaders in Uganda today is a musician. We know that musicians are all over the place. That some of them are presidential advisors and all these things. So it has actually not just started with this generation. Yeah, the musicians have always played a prominent role. Maybe today they are playing an even bigger role, but from as far back as the 1950s, musicians were singing songs. They were talking about patriotism, telling Ugandans to love their country, to pay their taxes, to respect their leaders, to obey the law, and things of the sort. Now, from 1962 to 1979, that was a very, very interesting period in Uganda's political scene. You have Uganda getting independence, you have Obote becoming prime minister, and Kabaka Mutesa II becoming the president. Then eventually Obote overthrows the Kabaka. The Kabaka goes into exile. Obote is overthrown by Amin. Now, from that period, musicians were singing very, very interesting songs, singing songs that praise the country, singing songs that praise the Kabaka. But when the Kabaka is overthrown, they suddenly recoil. They say, okay, we can't sing anymore. The political terrain doesn't allow for that. So they begin singing more of love songs and things like that. So Michael captured that very, very well in the book. Then when Obote is also overthrown by Amin, the jubilations run high. The people celebrate, they sing songs of jubilation. They sing very, very interesting songs and they praise Amin for that until when Amin himself is overthrown. By the time Amin is overthrown, he's so hated that very few people want to associate with him. Now, when he's overthrown in 1979, that's where the book ends. So I hope that Michael will write another book that picks it up from the time Amin is overthrown and our music related to that. Then on the economic aspect of things, during Obote's time, the country seemed to be doing well. Not the best, but seemed to be doing well. Remember, there was all that hope. People were growing coffee, people were growing the cotton, and things were really doing well. But when Amin comes onto the scene, and when the coups and the political instabilities intensify, the economy takes a hit, and then it goes down. So when the economy goes down, You have under Amin's time the rise of the so-called mafuta mingi, and we've heard of mafuta mingi several times. So he mentions mafuta mingi, how they operated and how the musicians sang songs in their praises, or the kind of musicians would call like the hanger zone, who always stayed with these rich people and sang in their praise and try to always be associated with them. And now let's move to the social scene. The social scene is that Uganda has always been influenced by the outside world, and that was the case even back then. When people were singing across the world, when the Beatles were singing, it reverberated back here. So it affected the music here. But as it affected the music, it brought in the aspect of morals, which I'll now finally talk about. The morals aspect of the day was that the old people then, just like the old people now, were very worried of the young people. They were thinking that these young people were lazy, they had no direction in life, all they did was wear miniskirts and they couldn't take it anymore. The young people were driving them crazy. So the songs of the day will show you all that. And Michael transcribes the lyrics, though he translates them to English, for your understanding. So he shows you that the musicians are singing songs and complaining and saying, oh, these young people, we need to rein in on them, we need to control these young people, prostitution is getting high, theft is getting high, and yet the young people seem to be in the move. They seem to have the guys with the swagger just moving on with the life. So he captures that also well by looking at the lyrics of the songs being sung. And then there's some very, very interesting aspects you'll also find in this book that I've never found anywhere else. He talks about things like the Mbalambas saga. There was a period in Uganda's history when people believed that, many people believed that Eliza would bite people to their death. And because of that, they took precautions. They went and slept early. Taxis that were moving from one town to another were thoroughly searched to see if by any chance there was a lizard hiding in them. Then because of that, there was a backlash. People were killing lizards en masse. And then it took a professor from Makerere going to UBC to tell people that, oh, you don't have to kill lizards. They don't kill people. They are not that bad. So this is a very, very good book for anyone that wants to understand our history. This is a very, very good book for anyone that is interested in music, because it tells us the past of our music and in a way relates it to the current and the future. So who do I recommend this book to? First, I recommend this book to any historian, anyone interested in history. You will surely love this book. And then to the politicians, yes, it touches a very, very bright light into our past, how things were governed, how were Aminu's decrees passed, how were they enforced, how was the army behaving then, how were they quelling demonstrations and riots. It talks about all that very, very well. And then I also recommend it to my friends, the feminists, to a group to which I belong. Things like miniskirts, we saw recently with the passing of the Anti-Pornography Act, the question of miniskirt coming back. But that has always been a question. Even in the 1970s, the Amin, under Decree number 3, when he came to power, banned miniskirts. And this book shows you why. Because he wanted to play with the crowd. He always first waited and said, let me see what will happen. When he realized that the old people, who seemed to be the prominent ones and the loud ones, hated miniskirt, he jumped on the fray and banned them. So this book talks about it. And then there's the issue of Princess Elizabeth Bagai of Toro. She served as a Minister of Foreign Affairs. Now, and then fell out with Amin. They accused her of several things that I can't even say on camera. But this book mentions that, and I'm sure you'll find it very interesting. So for my friends, the feminists, endeavor to pick this book. The general readers too, you like this book. It's a book that talks about a lot about everything almost that happened around the time. It talks about the coming of the Pope, of other religious leaders to Uganda around the time. There were about 3 in all. It mentions all that. So I recommend this book to all of you, and I know that you will love this book. And I look forward to Michael's next book, and I'm sure that it will also be another interesting book. Thank you very much for watching this video. So from us here at All Books UG, we hope to see you next time. Thank you.